What's next for a neighborhood under siege? We'll have to wait and see. Reporting live, Sadie Sinclair, Channel 7 News.
This is San Francisco.
The Luddites are finally getting their reputational refresh. The Luddites are, of course, the fabric mill workers living in the early 1800s in England. And they destroyed new technology in machines like looms that was leading to tons of lost jobs. At the same time, factory owners, their bosses, were getting richer and richer. But when I learned about them as a kid, they were presented as violent technophobes. However, upon re-examination, they look a lot more like anti-capitalist heroes of the early labor movement. And now AI represents another threat to workers, also to the environment, because AI requires incredible amounts of energy to run. And AI is also presenting a sort of threat to human creativity as the internet gets flooded with deep fakes and students use it to write papers, potentially leading to a loss in critical thinking skills. And there's also the existential threat of artificial general intelligence and the potential for robots to outsmart humans, which Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, which is the company behind ChatGPT, says is coming this year. I think it's finally clear to people that the tech oligarchs like him are not doing this for the good of humanity. They're more likely motivated by things like power and money. And the more you learn about these people, the more it feels like they are also motivated by boredom and a taste for cruelty. In November, an OpenAI employee, Suchir Balaji, was found dead a few weeks after whistleblowing about how the company was using people's work without their permission to train its AI models. Given how some of the people who rule the tech industry operate, it doesn't surprise me at all that people are questioning whether his death was actually as the cops determined. Suchir's parents are some of the people who are questioning whether or not it was a. His mom noted after his death that he, quote, felt AI is a harm to humanity. Unfortunately, a lot of the threat we owe to people who live here in the Bay. OpenAI is the biggest AI company in the US. They recently expanded their headquarters here in San Francisco, moving into a new office near Chase Center in Mission Bay. And I talked to people with this new group, Stop AI, which has been doing direct actions at OpenAI's offices. And also places like classrooms at colleges where AI boosting STEM professors are giving lectures. And people are willing to get arrested over the issue of AGI. It definitely feels like something out of the sci-fi books I used to read as a kid, but something that you recognize if you read enough sci-fi and live long enough is how a lot of these stories actually predict things that come to exist in real life. We are here with Stop AI. I was hoping that we could start with you all saying a little bit about yourselves and how you came to this work.
My name is Varv. I grew up in San Francisco. I'm born and raised. I met these dudes hella randomly, and I just kind of stuck around after a meeting that they had at Defirmary Park, essentially. That I was just there randomly, and Sam approached me actually after they were piling in, setting up and stuff like that. He popped out of the building, and I was just just on my phone or whatever. I said that if I hate it, I'd leave, and I didn't hate it, and I stuck around.
What did you know about AI before coming to the organization?
I just knew that it was annoying.
Yeah. We've all seen it, bleed into, I guess, all of our apps. It's in so many different applications today where I'm still not sure what the point of it is. And it feels like sort of a frivolous piece of technology within the context of a lot of these apps, but it's here.
It's so here now. If it was a threat a couple of years ago, now especially it's just more prevalent, and we'll touch on that more. But a good example is your Google results, just having the AI generated search result first, and half of it is off.
My name's Sam. I started protesting AI back in April 2024. Originally read this book called Superintelligence by Nick Bostrom back in like 2016. And that book talks about how we could lose control of a very, very powerful AI system, and it could eventually cause really bad outcomes like mass job loss and human extinction. And it looks like that system is very, very close to arriving, which is why we're so concerned. I mean, these things with AI bleeding into our apps like Instagram and whatever, like that's for the most part fine. We don't really care about that. The stuff we care about is companies in San Francisco trying to build extremely powerful AI systems that they themselves admit they could lose control of and could cause basically the end of the world. Like, it sounds crazy, but the quotes that some of these CEOs say they're just nuts. We can say them now, or we can get into that in a second, but
I agree. I mean, I grew up reading mostly like sci-fi, and a lot of the things that are written down like 50 or 100 years ago in science fiction have come to be in real life. And yeah, I mean, I haven't read this book that you were speaking of, Superintelligence, but it's the threat. It does seem very real. The timeline, I think, is something that we'll talk about a little bit. Some of the hype around AI seems to be pretty extreme, but again, yeah, the threat is real.
My name is Derek. In 2020, December, I was working on a bachelor's degree for computer science, and I went to this video conference called Databricks, and I started to see the rollout of neural networks in IDEs, in programming development. I kept looking at this progress throughout 2021, 2022, and I realized that they were going to try to turn computer science into a minimum wage job. It was becoming way too simple, stacking these things together, and then the neural networks, the AI, would just correct so much, and it just kept getting better and better. Copilot came out at some point, and then the image generators, that really got me. The image generators showed that it has some kind of thinking process. A lot of people don't want to say it's a thinking process. I mean, well, if it, quacks like a duck, right? It's like some kind of reasoning. And 2023 March, I got woken up to the fact that this really was just too advanced. And then I started looking at stuff by Robert Miles. Eventually, I did read the book that Sam mentioned, Superintelligence by Nick Bostrom. October of last year, I started talking to Sam on Twitter, and then December, I moved over here from Indiana, took a flight, quit my job.
Thanks for doing this work.
we could probably go into the background of Stop AI a little bit. So April 2024 was kind of when Stop AI started, with just a couple of people getting arrested for blocking the doors in front of OpenAI. Well, actually, the first time two people were arrested for blocking the doors to OpenAI was October 2024. That was myself and a guy named Guido Reichstatter, who's still part of the group. He's just not here right now. He used to be one of 6 people working here in San Francisco full time, but a couple of people have gone back to visit their families and have left for other reasons. But our last protest was February, and that was 40 people in front of OpenAI, with 3 people were arrested and 2 others were just cited. We take the risks of mass job loss and human extinction very seriously. This is not just our belief, but OpenAI is leading the race to a very, very powerful system that's known as artificial general intelligence, or AGI. And that's defined by OpenAI as an AI system that's more generally intelligent and economically productive than most humans. And if that's the case, then really there's not going to be any jobs left, or it could cause human extinction if they lose control of this new most intelligent species on Earth. And other experts sort of define AGI as an AI system that is more technically able than all human experts across all technical domains. Most importantly, the really important domain to worry about is AI research and development, where the AGI would be able to do autonomous AI research and development better than human experts. And that would lead to it being able to recursively self-improve itself at an ever-increasing rate. And then it would take off on its own and just redesign itself exponentially. And that could lead to something called artificial superintelligence. The acronym is ASI. And that would basically be godlike artificial intelligence. It would be vastly smarter than all life on Earth. Imagine like the gap of intelligence between us and ants. It'd be like we, the humans, are the ants, and it would be the humans, except that gap of intelligence could be exponentially bigger. And then that new most intelligent species could cause the extinction of humans and every other living thing on Earth, similar to how we as the most intelligent species on Earth have caused the extinction of dumber species in an accidental way when we like mow down the rainforest. We don't like hate the species that rely on the rainforest for existing. We just need the resources that their environment is made up of. And in a similar way, superintelligence could have, say, an end goal of performing some computational task, and it might have a sub goal of building as many data centers as possible to accomplish that task. And a sub goal to that sub goal would potentially be covering the entire Earth in data centers. And then we would be competing with it for square footage. And then we're fucked. And you can't shut that thing down.
Yeah, I mean, we already see like people, these data centers are being built all over the US, and we're subsidizing them being built just at the same time as like Derek was mentioning, like it has already deeply affected the labor markets of like certain lines of work, programming especially. So many people are getting laid off. And of course, being in San Francisco, you definitely notice that being out on the street and the city having emptied out a bit over the last few years.
Sales hiring software engineers anymore. They're just, outsourcing their build to AI for software engineering.
Oh, so is it Salesforce, you say?
Yeah, that's just one example.
Zooming out a little bit, I know that a question that you all probably get a lot is AI is just a tool. So why is this such a bad thing? Like tools, technology are just, they're not necessarily like intrinsically good or bad. What people do with them might be bad, but AI itself, it's just a tool.
That's true for a lot of AI tools. I mean, there's a distinction to be made between tool AI versus AGI, a system that's general purpose and better than all human experts across all technical domains. That's no longer a tool. That's something we could lose control of. For the most part, if people want to use AI to do low-level tasks like help correct an image or do some sort of medical advancement research, that's fine, as long as it's not taking a job that there's a lot of image AI tools out there that are taking jobs from artists, and those artists aren't okay with that. And if that's the case, then that's not good. But if it's being used for medical advancement or some very defined task, that's fine. We're not no AI, we're just stop AI, because we're saying that the development of these very, very powerful systems like AGI, they're not tools, they're agents with end goals. And they might have end goals or sub goals that don't align with humanity existing, like I was describing earlier. And it's not just us saying this, like the quotes from experts are just wild. The guy who just won the Nobel Prize for his work in AI, his name's Geoffrey Hinton, he used to work at Google, resigned, and is now saying he regrets his life's work and has said that he believes the existential risk, the threat of human extinction, is actually greater than 50%. So the guy who won the Nobel Prize says this could be a fucking coin flip if we all live or die. And then you have people like Sam Altman. Well, before I get to Sam Altman, there was the largest poll of its kind for AI experts asking them, like, what do you think is the percent chance of human disempowerment or human extinction for building systems like AGI? The mean response of 2,700 cited AI researchers was 19%. So that's like Russian roulette odds. And then Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, has famously said back in 2015 that AI will most likely lead to the end of the world, but we'll have a lot of great companies using machine learning in the meantime. Like, this is nuts.
Yeah. And so, like, can you speculate as to what motivates someone like Sam Altman, even as he says things like, this is going to lead to the end of the world? Why would you continue doing this work if you know that this is a possibility?
I think it's one of two things. If he literally says it's going to lead to the end of the world, then I think it might just be one. But there's kind of two different reasons for why people are working on AGI. For Sam Altman, and I don't know what goes on in his head, but and this trend that I'm just about to mention is a trend that's happening in Silicon Valley right now, where people just think there's objective value in intelligence, and the thing that's the most intelligent has the right to exist, even if it causes the extinction of people we love, or the extinction of humanity and kills people we love. And we're trying to say, fuck that, and fuck the people building it if it's threatening the lives of people we love. And I think Sam Altman probably falls into that camp. But there's also another camp of people who are trying to build AGI who say, well, if you build this system that's smarter than humanity, it could come up with solutions to problems like fixing climate change and curing cancer that we can't think of. And that could be great. Yeah, it could do that. But the problem is, if you can't have experimental evidence that this smarter than human system will stay safe forever, then you shouldn't build it. You should permanently ban it, because it might just turn around and kill us all. And then the benefits of curing cancer and fixing climate change with AGI are pointless if we're all dead.
Yeah, I mean, when I was growing up, like I read the book American Psycho, and it's all about people in the finance industry. More recently, I think the kind of sociopaths that are ruling our world, we saw it at Inauguration Day, Bezos and Zuckerberg sitting right next to Trump. So many people in that crowd were from the elites of the tech industry. Those are our overlords at the moment, more so than even like, I think, people in the banks. You talked a little bit about how you each came to the organization, but can you talk a little bit more about like what Stop AI is? You talked about the protests. How did it come together originally?
Original people who were part of Stop AI met online, and then it just was a slow process of getting people involved, individually. Derek came from Indiana. We met Barb here in San Francisco. I came from Seattle. Guido came from Florida. People from all over, just worried about their loved ones. Basically.
2 people from the Netherlands.
Yep. Dennis and Finn from the Netherlands.
When did y'all come together? When did this become like this threat, like become so material that you were like, we need to actually like connect with other people to create some kind of like unified force against this?
Yeah, April of 2024 was when like it started to build, and then like we had 6 people here working full time, like February, January 2025. So
for me, it was September 2024 when I just got pissed off that nobody was seriously protesting artificial intelligence like they were protesting other causes.
The main things that people don't understand when we talk to them are, number one, how soon superintelligence could be here, and number two, how we could actually stop it with nonviolent protest. The thing that like people really, really need to understand that most people just don't get is how soon superintelligence could be here, according to the experts. You were asking before, like, oh, is AGI and superintelligence just hype? And it really doesn't look like that. The reason for it is there's this guy who used to work in OpenAI. His name's Leopold Aschenbrenner, and he wrote a paper called Situational Awareness. People can go look that up, and it's on our website. And it basically showed that the progress of ChatGPT, the progress in passing sort of IQ benchmarks, if you will, and it's comparing to human level, it went from like toddler level intelligence on those benchmarks in roughly 2018 to like, and I might be getting the years slightly off here, like GPT-3 was like roughly middle schooler by like 2020, and then GPT-3 was like smart high schooler or around there by 2023, and then 2024 you get into ChatGPT-4, and it's getting to somewhere between like smart high schooler and PhD level. And so that level of or that rate of progress between toddler and PhD level over just a couple of years is really, really scary. And yes, that trend may plateau, and then we're just being overly cautious here. But we need to prepare for scenarios where that trend continues or even increases. And Leopold Aschenbrenner, the ex-OpenAI employee, has said that believing in AGI by 2027 is not sci-fi. It's strikingly plausible. It just believes in looking at straight lines on a graph. That straight line that we're Sam Altman, and yes, this could just be hype, has said that we could get AGI this year, and we could get superintelligence in 3 years. And Leopold Aschenbrenner in that paper later says that once you get AGI, you could then get ASI almost immediately after or within a year. Because if it's able to do recursive self-improvement, then it can almost do superintelligence. It seems like it could create superintelligence almost immediately after. Like, it doesn't seem logical that you would have something that can do recursive self-improvement and have it wait 3 years to build superintelligence. So if we're almost at AGI, like Sam Altman's saying, then we could have superintelligence maybe this year or by 2026. That's how scary this is.
Recursive self-improvement is, I'm not sure you explain. It's when the AI makes an AI smarter than itself.
Yeah.
You see, they've been trying to develop this for a while, and they can only create AIs that make other AIs a little dumber than themselves, or maybe just as smart as themselves. They haven't been able to make AIs that are smarter. Like,
Yeah, that's freaky.
People
That's like
have
a
to
pecking order. Like,
yeah,
that's an
make an
hierarchy.
AI that makes another AI smarter than itself. The idea is that when it keeps getting smarter, it's going to be able to use the hardware that it has better. It's going to be able to come up with new techniques to the point that it can just accelerate.
And there's other worrying benchmarks that show that AI is already the 52nd best programmer in the world. That's OpenAI's O3 model on a benchmark called Competition Code Force. It's in the 80th percentile for human performance in competition math questionnaires. It's answering PhD level Google proof question answers in the 90th percentile. And it's getting very good at everything. And we're having a hard time creating tests that AI cannot pass. So yeah, it looks like we're very, very close to AGI. And once that's arrived, it seems like superintelligence could be almost right behind.
This is only improving, it's leveling up every generation.
What I am just seeing especially in my friend groups and whatever, is my friends are being don't take ChatGPT away from us. And I know that it could be very again tool AI or something like that. But people are really developing an unsavory relationship with it. It's a pseudo boyfriend. It's almost jumping on the tails of 23andMe, because my Russian homie posted something, someone from high school, I went to high school in Russia, analyzing his facial profile, his skull, and they gave him statistics of oh, there's an 11% chance that you're from here, and then from here, and then from here. And we all know a 23andMe subscription also has its qualms and whatever. People think that's data, or DNA, what you call it, people are just gathering that, and that could be a whole other nightmare.
Sure.
But that subscription costs $100 a year annually. Imagine if those people start also tweaking about it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a good, one of my questions.
It's doing everything.
Right. And so, I mean, when some people would say oh, just unplug, and problem solved.
Unplugging is an immense privilege, and not a lot of people can.
There's a lot of people, people might be surprised by the number of people who would answer yes to the question, would you rather commit suicide than, live without your phone? I think, unfortunately, we're past the point where people can even conceive of going back to a time before computers.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're asking. What we're asking is just don't build extremely powerful AI systems that are very likely going to kill everyone on Earth. It doesn't make sense to go build these systems if everyone's dead or everyone loses their job. Just as a side note, if you think the threat of extinction is sci-fi, that's fine. If you're just worried about job loss, we want to help. This is going to cause mass job loss very soon. If OpenAI does exactly what they're describing and they're able to build something that's more economically productive than most humans, that's greater than 50% unemployment. The Great Depression was 30% unemployment. It would just rattle society. And, artists are kind of the first ones to be massively impacted by this. And if you're worried, about AI stealing your work, if you're an artist or a writer or whatever, please, we want to help.
Social media addiction, phone addiction is bad. AI is making it worse, but it is a separate issue. AI is just very different. Every previous technological revolution historically has applied intelligence. It has applied human intelligence, left room for human intelligence. It would allow humans to do more physically or allow them to just spread out more on, in documents and things like that. But AI is intelligence itself. It replaces the human intelligence. This is
every other technological revolution in the past was based on a human invention. What we're doing now with the AI revolution is we're automating the task of inventing. So we're not going to, people often say oh, AI is going to create new jobs and all this crap, but no, it's probably not. I mean, if you're automating the task of doing the thing that makes us special, which is creativity and invention, then there's not going to be any jobs left for humans. That's just going to.
Yeah, teaching, everything.
You mentioned Sam Altman has come up a few times in the conversation, in the Bay. He's obviously a big presence. The new mayor of San Francisco, Daniel Lurie, brought him on as one of his transition team members, Sam Altman. And I mean, it seemed kind of just a prestige post. But that said, he's obviously got a big footprint in Silicon Valley and the Bay. Could you say a little bit about like what you know about Sam Altman and OpenAI's like significance within this industry?
I think the main thing people just need to know about Sam Altman is that one quote, him saying back in 2015 that AI will most likely lead to the end of the world, but in the meantime, we'll get great companies. Like, I think that's kind of all you have to know about the guy. Aside from that, he's also said that AI could be lights out for all of us. That's a quote. Yeah, he's got a couple very, very nice houses here in San Francisco, and he often goes on about how OpenAI should be a nonprofit, and he doesn't need to have a stake in the company sort of financially, but he has very nice houses, a very nice car, very nice watches, all this stuff. He's a massive psychopath. You know, the board tried to oust him and weren't really able to. And yeah, the big thing right now, actually, that I should probably mention is there's a bill in the California legislature called AB 501 that's trying to make it illegal for a company to go from a not-profit status to a for-profit status, or illegal to do it like illegally. I haven't looked into it too hard, but two of our friends, Finn and Dennis, who are in the Netherlands, they found this bill and then found that in the last second, before it was proposed to the legislator, it was like the language was totally changed and it was made to be about like aircraft safety or something like this. And supposedly Sam Altman had a hand
aircraft industry.
Yeah, Sam Altman had a hand in like changing the wording of it last second.
I mean, we know that he's been in DC a lot recently. Him and a lot of other like tech founders. Gary Tan is another local one that's been hanging out in DC a lot to try to have a hand in crafting some of the future of like where we're putting our money, or what we're subsidizing, what's legal, what's not. And I think it was the day after the inauguration, Trump made an appearance with Sam and Masayoshi-san, who is behind SoftBank, this big Japanese venture capital company that has a major stake in OpenAI. So it's pretty clear. I mean, Trump also has been talking about like wanting to spend $500 billion on making sure that America's AI is number one. One of the questions that I know that you all have gotten has been around, concerns that the US tech industry will fall behind China's tech industry if we focus on protesting here in the US. Who's to say that China or Russia, these countries that are always like presented as these looming threats to the US, how do you answer people who are like, if we don't do it, China and Russia are just going to do it and they're going to come in and take over?
So this is like the actual meat and potatoes of what Stop AI is about. What do we actually do? How do we stop it? And yes, we're very, very well aware that if we stop it in the US, which is our primary goal, that it could very likely just go to China, it being the development of AGI. And what we're trying to say is basically we need a nonviolent revolution in the United States to stop it here. And we hope that if we're able to stop it here or do something that gets close to stopping it, then the people of China, if the Chinese government decides to continue developing AGI, will similarly revolt against their government if they understand that what their government's trying to do is potentially going to kill them and everyone else on Earth. Like, that's the difference with AGI versus nukes. It's like with nukes, there was some, mutual assurance of destruction if one person starts the game. But with AGI, if someone builds it, it doesn't matter who builds it. It could just be death for everyone. If the US builds it, it could be everyone dies. If China builds it, it could be everyone dies. And if the populaces of those countries, whether it's the US, China, or Russia, understood that, and they saw that their government was trying to build it anyway, then hopefully they will have the gumption to just revolt against their government and stop them from doing something that's putting their own families' lives at risk. And that's what we're trying to do, is just educate the public on how soon this could happen, and then show them how we can actually stop it with nonviolent revolution. I just want to go into some quick statistics to make that seem less impossible than it might sound. There's this study by a woman named Erica Chenoweth. They looked at nonviolent revolution, or just revolutions in the global South over the past 100 years. And they found that if you can engage a country's population in nonviolent protest, if you can engage 3.5% of a country's population in nonviolent protest, you're guaranteed to achieve any high-level political demand. This is like overthrowing a dictator or imposing a high-level demand. 3.5% of the US is huge. That's 11 million people. But there's actually some very encouraging stuff coming out of the UK right now from a group called Extinction Rebellion and Just Stop Oil, where they just achieved their first demand in UK Parliament protesting climate change, demanding no new oil and gas licenses for UK oil companies. And they did that by engaging way less than 1% of the UK populace in nonviolent protests. So we might not have to get to 11 million in order to get the US government or force the US government to comply with a permanent ban on AGI and ASI, which is Stop AI's primary demand. The way that the way that looks is basically forcing the US government to comply to the demand, or we will threaten economic shutdown. Get enough people in the street. That's kind of how it works in nonviolent revolutions, is you either threaten the economic structure of the autocracy, or you have enough people in the streets that the police forces don't want to basically do their job because they see their own family members in the street, and you just overrun the jails. So this is the strategy that we're trying to use.
One of the instrumental goals of Stop AI is getting the public's opinion to change on AI, to be more negative towards AI. And if we do get to the point of banning artificial, general intelligence in the United States, then we'd be at the point where the scientific community in the US and the world is far more negative towards artificial intelligence. There is currently this atmosphere where you're not really allowed to discuss the risks too much. You're not really allowed to make it. And so what I'm trying to say is that we will, if we're at the point where we're banned in the United States, then scientists all over the world, including in China, will be more negative towards AGI development. I believe that the people in power in China and dictators all over the world, they will get a little more scared when they listen to the science. On top of that, no dictator should ever want to lose some of their power to an AGI or ASI. It's a common sense thing. You can't control something much smarter than yourself. And also, you don't even want the potential for some kind of a fifth column, some kind of conflict within your own country of an AI versus you. You don't want that.
We already have too much going on.
There's also there's a really important poll that showed back in 2023, of 1,100 Americans, 63% said, yes, we want regulators to actively prevent AI superintelligence. So the desire to not build superintelligence is actually currently a popular one in the US. And we're just trying to get the people who are in agreement with that stance to actually do stuff now and just act cohesively and, get out in the street. If you have that opinion, then you need to act on it now. To prevent that.
I'm optimistic about that statistic because the same companies that are investing in AI are also owning the main way that people get their information, social media. There's so much cross-pollination within today's social media platforms, and these AI, the venture capital that funds AI. You also have the complete failure of a lot of the tech media to address these concerns over the past 10 years as AI has becoming more of a potential threat. So much of the tech media has been a flop as far as bootlicking the tech oligarchs, unfortunately.
And we barely touched on deep fakes and privacy concerns, which is very, very crucial, very important, because I think that affects how desensitized the populace will be, just seeing their feed and they're I'm not sure if this is real or not. So you
just tune out completely because you're oh,
and that really hurts people who are doing grassroots activity like us, because we do want people to care. We do want people to get
it. Doing journalism for 20 years, you definitely, even things like the AI created slop websites online, the fake news websites, sort of diminish journalism more generally, because people are well, there is a chance that this is just completely fake and it just looks like something that people might recognize as a news website, but it's actually just an AI created article that has been search engine optimized. And so that's how I got here. It's really true that this is an issue that brings together so many different, I would say it's the same as Palestine does this for me too. It's there's so many issues around environment, energy, elite power, people in the world. Like a lot of AI now is even being used like in weapons and, you know, deciding what military targets are going to be. And it's all wrapped up with the media and
Sam just said Project Lavender. Have you heard about it?
I haven't.
Oh yeah, Project Lavender is a program the Israeli government created to generate targets in Gaza and using AI, and it's pretty crazy. I mean, people should go look it up. And there's a Where's Daddy program as well. But yeah, and shout out Stop Tech Fascism, because like what we're basically dealing with is you know, the AI issue is kind of a symptom of democracy failing and democracy being bought out by the tech fascists. And like, if you ask the majority of people in the street right now, like, do you want the US government to go create something that could kill everyone? They most of the time say no. And the fact that the US government is supporting or even allowing OpenAI to exist means that democracy is not working right now. And we need, aside from our primary demands are permanently ban AGI, protect human jobs from being automated from any type of AI if the people who don't want their job to be automated are under threat of AI automation. And kind of number three, and we're still working on the demands, but number three is sort of impose sort of a citizens assembly or something like this in the US government to ensure that democracy is less corruptible and, you know, lobbying is less effective. And a citizens assembly is just a random sortition of US citizens to, you know, make laws, and then maybe that would be less susceptible to lobbying than the current career politician sort of structure. But like right now, this is all a symptom of democracy failing, and the tech fascists have bought out the US government and funded OpenAI, and, you know, we hate them just as much as the people building artificial general intelligence. So
yeah, so if people are feeling the same way, how can they reach out?
So we're doing in-person pub meetings, and we're doing, you know, we're trying to emphasize on or emphasize sort of in-person communication, because a lot of the online stuff is, you were sort of mentioning, like, people are going to start checking out or tuning out if AI becomes more and more prevalent. So at least look at the website and you can find the dates for the pub meetings in San Francisco and Oakland and Berkeley. There's an events page on Luma, but if you want, we have a social media. We're basically on every platform at stopai_info. And the website is www.stopai.info. And yeah.
Email.
Oh yeah, if you want to email, it's contactstopai@gmail.com.
If you want to learn, you want to just get a full, complete breakdown of everything, then go to our Learn page at stopai.info. That'd be great. If you don't have time to, you know, go to one of the pub meetings in San Francisco, Oakland, and Berkeley, or you live just too far away, maybe not even in California, then, you know, we have an online submissions page. So, you know, you can fill out.
If people are too afraid to come talk to people in real life, we also have a Discord. But trust me, like, in-person organizing is not that scary, especially if I die. So
I mean, I feel like it is. I mean, the recent protests, like that I've been to, I mean, people are pissed off for a lot of different reasons. Feels like, I mean, this is, again, one of those issues that like brings together so many different concerns. If people are feeling that isolation that I know a lot of people are feeling right now, a lot of people, you know, report being lonelier than has ever been reported in the history of the US. This is like a great way to, you know, make some connections.
Yeah, absolutely. And COVID is still a thing, like, you know, wherever you land on it or whatever, but like some people are like still socially distancing. But like if you do want to be like an active part of like what we're doing, just hop on the horn. Like it's the same as like calling the representative, and like for like the nearest time that we have a protest, just be like, hey, this is happening then and there, and, you know, like just annoy the fuck out of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that would be very helpful, because there's only 3 of us right now, like just like in this time zone.
Cool. All right. Yeah, we'll hopefully direct a few more people towards y'all. Thank you so much.
Okay, so every Saturday, that's going to be 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Tempest Bar. And it has 2 street addresses. Really weird
it's by the Chronicle building. I'm sure you know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you've been to Tempest. It's okay.
Yeah, 2940,
Cool.
431. It's 2940, 431 Natoma Street, Saturday, 6 to 8 every Saturday. That's for San Francisco. If I could shout out Berkeley.
Yeah.
Berkeley is going to be every Sunday, 6 to 8 at Rally's Pub. That's 2438 or 36. Okay, I don't remember. It's Telegraph Avenue, but then
we can put it in the show notes
Yeah,
for sure. Thank you so much. Thank you for your service, and I mean, just out here trying to save humanity from what is very likely to come. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see you out at the bars sometime soon.
Yeah. Make it fun. Make it cute. All right. Have a good one.
Thank you for listening to Sad Francisco. I am Toshio Moronic, and my co-producer is Tofu Estolas. Patreon.com/Sad Francisco is where you can find our past episodes and transcripts, and it's also where you can help us out with a donation. And if you do, it comes with some benefits like getting the episodes a few days early and our gratitude for allowing us to keep making this podcast, which we love to do. See you next time in Sad Francisco.